while Donald Trump is talking about a federal potential plan to arm teachers, Florida's getting ready to actually do it. So a Florida House panel has now joined the Florida Senate in approving a bill that allocates $67 million for training of tens of thousands of marshals, they're calling them. When they say marshals, what they mean is your shop teacher and your geometry teacher. I want you to just bear that in mind. These are the arms adept marshals. And look, I loved my geometry teacher, don't necessarily want him packing. But anyway, they want 10 marshals, teachers trained to carry a gun in every school, which across Florida would mean 37,000 additional gun-toting teachers, 10 guns floating around every school every single day in an imperfect human world. The state would cover the costs of background checks, drug testing, psychological exams, and 132 hours of training. The bill also provides a one-time $500 stipend for those who volunteer to have a gun, which also is a way of saying for those who volunteer to buy a gun, which is a great way to funnel huge amounts of money to gun manufacturers. Also, the fact that they are now funding 132 hours of gun training for teachers implies to me that teachers have received every other kind of training they need, because we are now putting the money into this type of training that has absolutely zero to do with educating the kids of this country.
So one of the teachers who was shot in Parkland, Florida, his mom went to go testify before they voted on this bill in Florida. And a lot of the survivors drove like 500 miles to get to the Capitol because they're in southern Florida. And she said, look, he wanted to be a teacher. He didn't want to be a cop. So if he was around, asking him to then learn how to use a weapon to be able to shoot people in his school, that's not what he signed up for.
Yeah.
And this is not the right way to go. One of the students had a terrific point when this was initially being discussed. And he said, so we're gonna train the teachers to shoot their students, because a lot of the shooters are either current or former students. In Parkland, it was a former student who had just graduated the year before. That's haunting, man. Now Florida's gonna train 37,000 teachers on how they can kill their students if need be. Wow.
It's crazy. And then think about, like, as an abstract, what does it mean to have guns floating around schools? That seems horrifying. And I love that it seems irrelevant that the overwhelming majority of the kids and parents in the tragedy that spurred this bill, them being opposed to it is irrelevant, doesn't even matter, doesn't even enter into it. But then specifically, we had a teacher shoot a gun in a school today that thankfully this time didn't kill a kid. Let's see how long it takes until we've rolled the dice on the second one. And then you think about, in practice, 37,000 was it, guns in Florida. Let's say this goes national and we're talking about literally, I think it's something between 700,000 and 1.1 million teachers at this rate would have guns. What does it take to accidentally leave a gun somewhere, or to accidentally put it in your desk and forget to lock it, or that a kid overpowers you and takes your gun? You might say that that is a 1 in a million chance. Well, we're about to put a million guns out there in the schools in America. So it seems like even at that rate, we're guaranteeing that something terrible is gonna happen. And when you know that teachers see certain types of students differently, that they think certain classes of students, certain races of students are older or more threatening, okay, well then on a day-to-day basis, when they're adjudicating what's a threat and what's not, but now they have lethal force that they can deploy, what is the inevitable outcome of that? I think we all know how that plays out in the real world.
And one last thing, which is a cheesy political move for the Republicans to do, especially in light of this tragedy, is first to give them credit. There were some parts of the bill that I like, and I think a lot of people like. So there's now a 3-day waiting period for gun purchases. It's not the greatest accomplishment in gun control, but I'll take it. It's a little bit better than it used to be. Raise the age to buy any gun from 18 to 21. So now it's the same age limit as buying alcohol in Florida. Good. Again, not much, but I'll take it, great. And it gives police more power to seize guns from people who threaten themselves or others. So that's very positive, I think. So why am I saying cheesy political move? Well, they put the good stuff in the same bill as the arming teachers part. Then the Democrats, who really didn't want to arm teachers and think it's a terrible idea and wanted to respect the Parkland survivors, who were almost all against it, right, had to vote no on the bill. So, and then on top of that, this was being covered by a lot of TV stations in Florida, and the Republicans structured it in a way where the Democrats voted no, and then they cut the cameras, not giving them an ability to explain why they voted no. So it made it seem like the Republicans are doing something about gun control and protecting you, and the Democrats are opposed. When in fact the Democrats in that case wanted to do more gun control and respect the survivors more, but they never got that message out because they're like, okay, and we're done, everybody pack it up.
Yeah, they tried to propose an assault weapon ban, a banning of 200 different types of semi-automatic rifles, and that was shot down. In that case, the vote was 18-11. 18 Republicans voted no on the ban, 10 Democrats, and in fact, 1 Republican, Bill Hager of Boca Raton, voted for that ban. But this is a preview of what's gonna happen nationally, because immediately after I predicted that you now have, thankfully, thanks to the work of tons of amazing activists, including the kids of Stoneman Douglas and perhaps now Dalton High School, you have this social movement pushing for change and putting pressure on people. But unfortunately, you have Republicans in charge, which means that almost inevitably, at least in the short term, what you're gonna end up having is a little bit of obvious, easy gun control that should have already been on the books already, combined with right-wing fantasies. I said it sort of in the abstract, this is one of the right-wing fantasies. It's not the only one, but this is the one you're getting in Florida right now. Because social will and changing values are very important, but also the current political leadership is important because they're the ones that get to propose the actual bills, and they're the ones that get to veto or sign the bills. And that's why it's so important who is actually in power in this country. Now, who's in power in Florida, assuming this actually passes finally through the House and the Senate, it's gone through the committees. Governor Rick Scott, by the way, has said that he opposes arming classroom teachers. Now let's see whether he actually meant that or not, or whether he will use the convenient fact that it has some other things in it to pass sheer insanity in bill form.
Can I go real fast?
I'm sorry, because we talked about it earlier. Those 3 things we talked about, raising age, 3-day waiting period. John, you know where I'm going.
No, I have no idea.
And the third thing, which is so helpful, is it gives local law enforcement more authority to go after and take people's guns that pose a threat to themselves or others. What does local law enforcement generally think of people who have guns? Who do they generally think are a threat? I'm just saying, random local law enforcement can do whatever the hell they want and target certain people that they think are a threat to society. Who are those people that certain law enforcement like to target? And then when they do take all these guns and say, look how many guns we collected this month, 4,000 guns. Where'd you get them from? Did you get them from the people who are, there's random people do shootings, okay, fine. But who did you target and why? And then when you did it, what was your execution in doing it? We do tons of stories about how we don't trust the way police from the top to the bottom execute, the way they confiscate things from certain people in this country based on what they look like. Who are they gonna target, and are they gonna actually do something about mass shootings and violence that happens? So if one group can get their guns taken away, which group is that gonna be? Or is it just like arbitrary? Yeah. I wonder who that could be.
So
Depends, Mike.
Yeah, and a lot of that might not even be malicious. It might be that in the Central Florida they know Bubba, and Bubba's got 18 weapons, and yeah, but he got a little carried away the other day and threatened someone. But I know Bubba; he's not going to harm anyone.
That's true.
Right? That guy in the city, though, well, I don't know that guy. That guy looks dangerous. He looks, he looks different, right? And it's not necessarily malice. I know Bubba. I don't know Waleed, right? Waleed looks really dangerous to me. Let me play it safe, right? Now all of a sudden you got different classes of citizens with different classes of due process. So look, I'd err on the side of taking all their guns. but I don't think that's the way the Republicans are gonna go.
It won't be the first time we've wanted to take guns from certain people in our country and not from others. Just saying.
What you just watched was one of the videos that we do today, but we actually do a whole 2-hour show every single day. It's a podcast. You could watch it in video or listen to it as audio. You can download it, you can stream it, and you get it completely ad-free if you could become a member of the Young Turks. tytnetwork.com/join.